As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the dilapidated facade of Ravencrest Manor, I found myself standing at the wrought iron gates, clutching a crumpled job advertisement in my trembling hand. The position? Night guard at the most notoriously haunted building in town. I'd always prided myself on being a skeptic, but as the wind whispered through the overgrown grounds, sending a chill down my spine, I couldn't help but wonder if I was in over my head. The creaky door swung open with an ominous groan, revealing a dimly lit foyer. Dust motes danced in the feeble light of a single flickering bulb, and the musty smell of decay assaulted my nostrils. Mr. Blackwood, the caretaker, materialized from the shadows like a specter himself, his weathered face etched with lines of worry. "Welcome to Ravencrest Manor," he rasped, his voice barely above a whisper. "I hope you're prepared for what awaits you here." He handed me a ring of ancient keys, each one more ornate and rusted than the last. "Remember," he added, fixing me with a steely gaze, "whatever you hear, whatever you see, do not leave your post. The spirits are restless, and they've been known to play tricks on the weak-minded." With those ominous words hanging in the air, Mr. Blackwood vanished into the gloom, leaving me alone in the cavernous entrance hall. I swallowed hard, trying to ignore the prickling sensation at the back of my neck. It was just an old house, I told myself. Nothing more than creaky floorboards and overactive imaginations. As I began my first patrol, flashlight in hand, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Eyes seemed to follow me from every shadowy corner, and more than once, I caught a glimpse of movement in my peripheral vision. But when I turned to look, there was nothing there but dusty furniture and faded portraits of long-dead Ravencrest ancestors. The hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Every tick of the grandfather clock in the library felt like a hammer blow to my frayed nerves. I tried to distract myself by exploring the manor's many rooms, each one more opulent and decayed than the last. The ballroom, with its cracked mirrors and tattered velvet curtains, seemed to echo with the ghostly laughter of long-ago parties. The nursery, filled with broken toys and a rocking chair that creaked of its own accord, sent shivers down my spine. It was nearing midnight when I heard it, a soft, plaintive cry echoing through the halls. My heart leaped into my throat as I remembered Mr. Blackwood's warning. But curiosity got the better of me, and I found myself following the sound, my flashlight beam dancing erratically across the peeling wallpaper. The crying led me to a door I hadn't noticed before, hidden behind a moth-eaten tapestry. My hand trembled as I reached for the doorknob, every instinct screaming at me to turn back. But something compelled me forward, and I pushed the door open with a creak that seemed to reverberate through the entire manor. What I saw inside that room defied explanation. Ghostly figures danced in a macabre waltz, their translucent forms flickering like candlelight. In the center of the room stood a woman in a tattered wedding gown, her face a mask of eternal sorrow. As our eyes met, I felt a wave of icy cold wash over me, and the world went black. I awoke with a start, finding myself slumped in a dusty armchair in the library. Sunlight streamed through the grimy windows, and the grandfather clock chimed 6. Had it all been a dream? But as I stood up, my joints aching from the uncomfortable position, I noticed something clutched in my hand. A single, withered rose petal, its edges tinged with an otherworldly blue. Mr. Blackwood appeared in the doorway, his expression unreadable. "You survived your first night," he said, a hint of surprise in his voice. "Not many do. Will you be returning this evening?" I hesitated, the events of the night replaying in my mind. Every rational part of me screamed to run, to never set foot in this cursed place again. But as I looked down at the rose petal in my hand, I felt a strange sense of purpose wash over me. There were secrets in Ravencrest Manor, mysteries that begged to be unraveled. "I'll be back," I heard myself say, my voice steadier than I felt. Mr. Blackwood nodded, a ghost of a smile playing at the corners of his mouth. As I stepped out into the bright morning sun, I couldn't shake the feeling that my life had irrevocably changed. The world of the living suddenly seemed pale and insubstantial compared to the vibrant, terrifying realm I had glimpsed within those haunted walls. I knew that I would return, night after night, drawn by an insatiable curiosity and a growing sense that I had a role to play in the unfolding drama of Ravencrest Manor. The days that followed blurred together in a haze of mundane reality, but as soon as the sun began to set, I felt the pull of the manor growing stronger. Each night brought new revelations, new encounters with the spectral residents of Ravencrest. I learned their names, their stories, the tragic circumstances that bound them to this place. There was Elizabeth, the bride in the hidden room, forever reliving the moment her groom abandoned her at the altar. I spent hours listening to her tale of heartbreak and betrayal, watching as she danced alone to music only she could hear. In time, I began to see a flicker of recognition in her eyes when I entered the room, as if my presence was slowly anchoring her to the present. Then there was young Timothy, a mischievous spirit who delighted in moving objects and creating eerie sounds to frighten the living. At first his antics terrified me, but as the nights wore on I found myself looking forward to our games of spectral hide-and-seek through the manor's winding corridors. The library became my sanctuary, a place where I could commune with the more scholarly spirits. Professor Archibald, a ghostly academic with a penchant for Shakespearean soliloquies, became an unlikely friend. We would spend hours discussing literature and philosophy, his vast knowledge undiminished by death. But not all the spirits were benign. In the depths of the cellar I encountered a malevolent presence that made my blood run cold. It whispered dark promises and terrible threats, trying to lure me into its shadowy domain. It was only through the intervention of the other ghosts that I managed to escape its clutches, learning a valuable lesson about the dangers that still lurked within Ravencrest's walls. As the weeks turned to months, I found myself changing. The boundary between the world of the living and the dead became increasingly blurred. I started to see auras around people in the daylight hours, catching glimpses of spirits in places I never had before. My friends and family grew concerned, noticing the dark circles under my eyes and my distracted demeanor. But I couldn't bring myself to give up my nightly vigils at the manor. Mr. Blackwood, once so cryptic and aloof, began to open up to me. He shared the manor's long and tragic history, revealing that he too had once been a night guard, drawn into the world of spirits decades ago. "You have a gift," he told me one evening, his eyes shining with an otherworldly light. "The manor has chosen you, just as it chose me. There's a purpose to your presence here, though it may take years to fully understand." As I stand here now, looking up at the looming silhouette of Ravencrest Manor against the twilight sky, I realize that I've found more than just a job. I've discovered a calling, a bridge between two worlds. The spirits have become my family, the manor my home. And though the nights are long and often terrifying, I wouldn't trade this extraordinary existence for anything. So if you find yourself passing by Ravencrest Manor on a moonlit night and you catch a glimpse of a figure moving behind a dusty window, know that it's me, the night guard, the keeper of secrets, the friend of ghosts. And who knows, perhaps one day you too will feel the irresistible pull of this haunted place and join me in unraveling the mysteries that lie within its walls.